What's up guys, this is Sam with Sam Ballard Photography, bringing you another video about a piece of gear that a lot of people don't think about, and that is the battery grip. Today we're going to talk about when you may need one, why you may want one, and a couple tips whenever you're looking at buying one. Stay tuned. So guys, let's be honest. The battery grip is not exactly the most exciting piece of equipment in your gearbox, okay? Now I understand that fully, but the reason I wanted to talk about why and when you may want a battery grip is that this is something that I think everybody in the photography world is going to run into, and they need to ask themselves, am I ever going to use this, and when would I use it? So for me personally, the reason that I picked up this battery grip was for my 7D. And right now we have that recording on this side. So, why you would need one? Okay, well let's cover that first. So, why would you need a battery grip? Now obviously, it's to put batteries in. Okay, so we're getting the obvious out there. You're going to be able to put either 2 of your camera's batteries in it, or 4 AA's in this case. Or excuse me, 6 AA's in this case. I rarely use the AA feature. Honestly, I feel like it just chews through batteries way too quickly for what you get. You end up going through so many batteries using AA's that you end up offsetting the cost and the reason you even have one of these. You may as well go ahead and just have a bunch of these standard batteries in your hand and just switch them out as the day goes. But another reason too is the fact that as far as you get extended battery life, you also are going to have a better grip on your camera. Now this is something that when you have a lighter camera, say for example a point and shoot, you're not going to notice this as much. This isn't going to be as big of a deal. But if you have a very heavy camera, say for example like the 7D, which to me is a fairly hefty camera, it's heavier than my 60. And when you put a lens on it, again, it gets heavier, and it's very heavy on the front end. So I like to have the battery grip on it just for a little extra grip down here on your bottom 2 fingers, okay? So those are the 2 reasons why I think you should at least be looking into it. Now, if you don't need the grip, if you don't need the extra extended battery life, it is nice to be able to turn your camera sideways, just like so. And you're going to be able to take your portrait shots a little bit easier. So instead of having to reach all the way around to the top of your camera, most models are going to have this side option. Now of course you can also, if we can see here, we can turn that on and off, so that's not a big deal if you don't want it to be hitting whenever you're walking around on accident. But for the most part, that would be another great reason to be looking into one of these things, is to be able to have a little bit more comfortable grip when you're shooting portrait shots, and especially if you shoot portrait shots a lot. So those are some reasons why you would maybe be looking into buying one of these battery grips. But another reason could also be the fact that I personally feel that it does give the camera a little bit of a better look. And a lot of photography is perception, right? You're selling yourself as a service. You're selling what you do. And to have a big piece of equipment, people are going to think, oh, that's the photographer. In a day and age where basically everyone at a venue is going to have some kind of an SLR at this point, I think that this kind of helps set you aside from the people around you. It's kind of like the difference between having a nice 3CCD on the shoulder camera and a small HD camera like what I'm shooting here with the GL10. You're going to get very good quality shots or video with either piece of equipment, but I think that if you end up having a more professional look, sometimes that does help, and it makes people feel like they're getting more for their money. Now another reason too that I personally recommend having at least one of these sitting around is the flexibility. If you are thinking about going and doing a longer shoot, you'd be able to do so with this. If you need that extra grip, you've got it. And they're not super expensive, which leads up to my next point, which I want to talk about, are when you're looking at buying one of these, should you get third party or should you get the first party versions like this one? Okay, Now, my whole channel has been about how can you do what professionals do on a budget, right? So I think that the first and foremost thing I need to mention is that a third-party version of any battery grip is going to be perfectly fine for most people. And I don't think that you're going to lose out too much quality whenever you're looking into purchasing one of these, if you go with the third-party option. But I do think that you get a little bit better quality if you go with the first party. I think they're going to be more reliable, and you're going to get better build quality as far as some of the different contacts, as far as the mount goes. It's not going to be loose, it's going to have all of the features, and the fact that it's made for your specific camera, it's going to fit better. So if you're worried about any kind of water or moisture getting into your camera, I think that this is a great option to have. I think that it's smart to have a couple options as far as extending your battery, and I think that if you compromise your camera's structural integrity by putting a third party on it, I don't know if it's worth it. And that means just leave that up to you. I'm not going to say that you have to buy the first party, because you are going to run yourself probably an extra $100 to $200 at least to buy a first party versus a third party. But don't get me wrong, I think all of these third parties that are out there right now are perfectly fine. So, in conclusion, would I recommend that everyone buy a battery grip for your SLR? No, and yes. I think that you can buy them at an affordable price these days, to where I think that you should have one in your kit if you professionally shoot. Okay, but I don't think that everyone needs one. I think that there are situations where you will need one, you will want one, and then if you don't have it, it's going to be too late. But on the other hand, I think that if you are looking into getting one, just go ahead and pull the trigger. I don't think you'll be disappointed in the slightest, and especially if you go for something that's name brand, that's going to fit your camera. It'll last a long time, and it will also make the experience of shooting with your camera much more enjoyable. I find that it makes it much more comfortable for my hands to be able to hold the camera for a long period of time. So that's just my 2 cents on this with having a battery grip for your DSLR. If you guys enjoyed the video, would you please comment and subscribe? And if you have any questions for me, please be sure to leave them down below. And stay tuned for more videos in the future with Sam Ballard Photography. See ya.